In a time where the biggest real-life hero for little children to look up to is Greta Thunberg, the discourse about sustainability and green practices has shifted. From being a fringe part of the population, now masses go out onto the streets demanding for more concerted effort in order to protect the planet and fight climate change. And as always, companies know exactly how to cater to their demographic. So all these corporations, from fashion to food to cars, now seek to show just how sustainable their products are and how much they care for the planet. But sustainability tends to be more expensive, and that is the last thing that stores want. Many of the most popular fashion stores are classified as fast fashion, noted for their low prices, fast-changing collections, and extensive range of clothing. Styles change every season, making sure that consumers always feel like they need the newest items to stay relevant, meaning a large and fast turnover of their items. Things are not meant to last. They are meant to be worn for a season and then replaced by something new just a few months later. So the cheap prices are core to their entire business strategy, and that is true even when it comes to more sustainable items. Many brands have introduced green labels, which identify the clothes as having been sourced from more sustainable materials. And in return, you just have to pay a little bit extra. And if that sounds too good to be true, that is because it is. Just earlier this year, in August 2022, the global fashion conglomerate H&M was sued due to wrongful claims regarding the sustainability of their conscious choice products. And H&M is certainly not the only one that is doing so. Welcome to Rebel Economics. I'm so happy to have you here today to talk about this topic. We will look at how much greenwashing is really taking place, and we will look at the impacts that this is having on consumers and the related sectors. If you're intrigued, please stay tuned, and if you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. But for now, back to today's case study, H&M, because it is a great example of the greenwashing that is taking place to a vast extent and across all major industries. According to the retailer's marketing, those products are made with at least 50% of more sustainable materials. That just simply didn't end up to be true, and part of the lawsuit is focused on the calculated misleading of consumers' perception regarding the product. Chelsea Commodore, who filed the lawsuit, states that H&M, quote, misrepresented the nature of its products at the expense of consumers who pay a price premium in the belief that they are buying truly sustainable and environmentally friendly clothing, end quote. This was also supported by a report by Quartz, published just a few months prior to the lawsuit. During that time, H&M still presented scorecards where consumers could actually compare the environmental impact of each piece of clothing according to the Higgs Sustainability Profile. The Higgs Sustainability Profile was a great idea. It was to give consumers a transparent way of comparing products and giving them a true way of understanding the impact of their decisions. Because quite frankly, without these scorecards, it is close to impossible to compare the many factors that can alter the environmental impact. Created by the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, the Higgs Sustainability Profile was meant to give consumers a way to compare the environmental impact of their purchases. The profiles incorporate factors like how much water and fossil fuels were used to create the materials in a piece of clothing compared to conventional fabrics. But, of course, the truth paints a far less pretty picture than fabricated information, so that is exactly what H&M did. The article states that, quote, more than half of the scorecards on H&M's website claimed that a piece of clothing was better for the environment when, in fact, it was no more sustainable than comparable garments made by the company and its competitors. In the most egregious case, H&M showed data that were the exact opposite of reality. End quote. Now, as a doe-eyed, hopeful customer, we would of course hope that the impact of the investigation would be that the scorecards would be altered to represent the true Higgs profile. Well, once more, our innocence is stripped away from us, because rather than admitting that their so-called conscious choice products are oftentimes no more sustainable than any of their other products, H&M simply decided to scrap the scorecards entirely, leaving consumers in the dark once more. Now, just because I chose H&M as a prime example due to the ongoing lawsuit does not mean that they're any more at fault than their competitors. The Norwegian Consumer Authority questioned the sustainability claims made by H&M and other apparel firms. In response, there was a rapid retreat from using these scorecards by H&M and its industry peers, adding to the much-heard argument that there's no such thing as sustainable fast fashion. But for now, let's leave fashion behind and look at the overall practice of greenwashing. Greenwashing really just means conveying a false impression of misleading information about how environmentally sound a company's products are. Unsubstantiated claims are aimed to deceive customers into believing that a company's products are environmentally friendly or have a greater positive environmental impact than what is true. This practice is becoming increasingly popular, given the current concern about climate change and the popularity that this topic has reached. Fridays for Future has transcended a political movement and become part of the youth culture. It is cool being part of it, so whether you really care or not, you make sure to take a selfie at one of those rallies with a quippy slogan on a cardboard sign. But greenwashing has been around for far longer. One of the earliest examples is from the 1960s, when hotels were sick of all of the laundry that they had to do, simply because guests wanted their towels changed every single day. So, in the name of the environment, they asked guests to reuse their towels. A win for the hotels because their laundry costs drastically sank. On the bright side though, this at least really did also decrease the amount of energy and water wasted on towels which are essentially clean. So at least it was not a straight out lie. But it was done so in the name of the environment, which for hotels that implemented the policy was really not the goal. Since then, there have been many forms of greenwashing. Products are renamed, rebranded, and repackaged in order to convey the idea of being more natural, wholesome, free of chemicals than the competing brands. Now, that is not to say that all green marketing is greenwashing. Some companies really alter their products substantially to do less harm to the environment. And there is nothing wrong in pointing that out to customers. The issue is when everyone does it and you no longer know which brands engage in green practices and which ones don't, you really have no idea what you're buying. So what does that leave us with? Distrust. A US survey found that more than half of the consumers strive to make sustainable buying choices, but 88% don't immediately trust brands that say they're sustainable. So you're left with a really crappy choice. Either you give up and don't even try to buy more environmentally friendly products, or you stay hopeful and buy a product with the green imagery, being unsure if you're now paying a premium for a standard product or really are doing something good. Either way, you're left with a bad feeling in your stomach. This is true all over the world, not just in the US. In 2021, the European Commission published a report stating that, quote, in 42% of cases, authorities had reason to believe that the claim may be false or deceptive and could therefore potentially amount to an unfair commercial practice, end quote. Just as a shifting public perception on climate change has spurred the creation of green or green-seeming products, so has the rise of greenwashing spurred the creation of green litigation. Essentially, a whole lot of law firms now have an area that specializes on suing companies that cannot sustain their sustainability claims. The US Securities and Exchange Commission even created a special task force focused on climate and environmental, social, and governmental issues. It even made a proposal which would require companies to disclose information pertaining to the volume of greenhouse gas emissions, progress updates on any publicly set climate goals, and climate-related risks. This certainly is one step in the right direction, and the increasing litigation against greenwashing is helping to bring these cases to the forefront of the media. Companies can easily lose the trust of their clients, and this can quickly have substantial economic implications. Once this is coupled with regulatory fines and a more stringent monitoring on the part of the authorities, we can at least have some hope that the most blatant cases of greenwashing will be brought to light. For now, the sad reality is that we cannot really trust the green claims made by these companies. So if the consumers really want to purchase products that are better for the environment, they will have to dedicate some time to do the research themselves. To conclude today's video, I want to tell you about some resources that can help you in doing exactly that. We have seen that companies like H&M create their own sustainability labels, like the Conscious Choice label, which really doesn't mean much. So instead, you can find out which labels you can actually trust by going to the website of the Eco-Label Index. It is a directory that tracks over 400 different eco-labels in 199 countries. So it is a very useful tool to detect green label products and the ones which are not. Another way to go about it is to be more critical about the ingredients of food and cosmetics, for example. There are many apps that allow you to scan the barcode of a product, and it will tell you which ingredients it contains that are bad for the environment, like palm oil, for example. Thank you so much for watching today's episode on greenwashing and the art of pretending to care. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. We appreciate all of your support and are really excited about every single view, like, and subscriber. Greenwashing is a form of asymmetric information, so why not also check out our video on asymmetric information economics? Or why not watch our video on the Norwegian welfare state? Have a lovely day and see you next time.